Okay, let's move to our next subtopic, which is immune system. We have discussed about the lymphatic system, which is the system that will produce lymphatic cells or lymphocytes. Okay, they includes the organ and tissue in order to produce the cells to defend our body. So what is the process of defending our body from the attack of pathogen is under immune system. Okay, immune system, what is the meaning of immune system? Immune system is a network of organ, tissue, cells that work together to defend our body from the attack of pathogen. And the key cells here is the lymphocytes. Okay, so the name of cells, lymphocyte, is the cell produced by the lymphatic system. Okay, in order for the body to respond during attack of the invader or pathogen, we call it as immune response or immunity. We have two types of immunity under immune system, which is innate immunity and adaptive immunity. Okay, innate immune response and adaptive immune response. Okay, what's the difference between these two? Innate immune response is non-specific, while the adaptive immune response is specific. Specific and non-specific for what? For the invader. So for the innate immune response, the body doesn't require to recognize first what type of virus or bacteria enter our body, what is their name, or what is their antigen, the ID of the virus. Anything that enter our body will be eliminated by this innate immune response. Okay, while for the adaptive or specific immune response, they will be activated when they know that is the virus and they have stored the IG or the ID of the information of the previous bacteria or virus that enter our body. Then they start to active and eliminate that pathogen. Okay, that is the difference between innate and adaptive immunity. Okay, so under innate immunity, we have several defense mechanisms. That is why include 4 defense mechanisms. If you remember our learning outcome, you need to explain what is the mechanism under innate immunity and what is the function of B and T cell. B and T cell is under adaptive immunity. Okay, subhanallah, our creator creates us a very systematic immune response. We know that we have 2 types of immune response, which is innate immunity and adaptive immunity. So actually, this innate immunity and adaptive immunity play their role at certain level. Okay, we have first line defense, we have second line defense, and third line defense. Okay, the level of defense mechanism depends on the strength of our immune system. Okay, the first line defense, if let's say our system is strong enough to avoid the pathogen enter and threaten our life, then we have strong first line defense, and at first line defense everything will be eliminated and our body is protected. Okay, so innate immunity, which is non-specific immunity, cover and second line, okay, which is non-specific. Okay, at this two-line defense, our body, the immune system and the lymphatic system protect us from the invader or the pathogen. Okay, what is the first line defense? The first line defense is we use mechanical, chemical, and reflexes. Okay, these are the mechanism of immune response under first line defense. We just use the chemical, mechanical, and reflexes to remove, to eliminate the pathogen from our body. Okay, we go through one by one. Mechanical defense. Okay, the example is our skin, the urine, what else? Cilia, mucus, which is physically they remove or prevent pathogen from enter our bloodstream, our transport system, because once the pathogen, virus or bacteria or any invaders enter our bloodstream, then they can take over the whole body. Okay, they will destroy our organ, our brain. So to prevent that, and that is the life-threatening. To prevent that, the first line defense mechanism, we have mechanical. For the skin protect us from the pathogen enter the bloodstream. Okay, very simple. So that is very important to protect your skin from damage, because in our skin there is a several layer. There is a moisture, there is a layer that will protect the internal membrane from environmental or from the attack from the environment damage. Okay, chemical, as we know, chemical, there is something activity that will destroy the pathogen. Chemical, for example, enzyme in our saliva, the enzyme in our mucus. So besides eliminating physically by means of physical barrier just now, mechanical, we also have a chemical barrier, which is enzyme that contain in the mucus. For example, mucus in our nose, mucus in the respiratory tract, what else? The enzyme in our saliva. So the source of pathogen is everywhere. For example, when we eat food, our food also contain bacteria and virus. So how our body prevent them to enter and attack, to what we call it, to destroy our body is enzyme inside our saliva will degrade the cell wall of the virus or bacteria that contain in our food that we consume. So that is important, the first line defense. Okay, next is reflexes. Reflexes is an involuntary action to remove, to eliminate the pathogen. Okay, so for example, pathogen is not only microscopic thing, but it can be the vector of that virus or bacteria. For example, mosquito, they are vector for the virus. Okay, harmful virus or bacteria can be transferred through a vector and inside our body. Okay, so reflexes is when we see a mosquito want to bite us, immediately, unconsciously, we will just halau mereka, tepuk mereka ataupun matikan nyamuk tu. That is reflexes. Okay, Next, for the second line defense mechanism, we have phagocytosis, we have protective protein, we have the NK cells, which is natural killer cells. We also have inflammation and fever. Okay, so when the first line defense cannot eliminate totally the bacteria or virus from enter our body, so we have our second line defense, where phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the process of eating the bacteria or killing the bacteria by our lymphocytes. For example, macrophage. Macrophage will surround the bacteria or virus and then destroy them through apoptosis. Okay? Sorry, not through apoptosis. Apoptosis is a self-destroying mechanism. Okay, next is the protective protein. What the protective protein do to the pathogen or invader? They will surround the bacteria or virus and make a hole on their cell wall, and then when there is a hole on the surface of their cell wall, content inside the body of the bacteria or the pathogen will burst out, and then they will kill. Okay, next is natural killer cells. Natural killer cells, from the name, they will kill the pathogen. It's easy. Then inflammation and fever. So inflammation and fever is a combination of several response by our body in order to kill the pathogen. Okay? First, we talk about fever. Fever response that we can see, we can feel is the increasing of the body temperature. Okay, increasing of the body temperature actually is to provide an environment which is not optimal for the bacteria or pathogen to grow in our body. So when we got fever, actually we have infected by the virus or bacteria, then our body respond to increase the temperature so that bacteria or virus cannot survive in our body, because the normal temperature for them to survive is normal body temperature, which is 37. Okay, so we will further discuss in this for this mechanism later, and you can refer to the slides. Okay, next is the inflammation. Inflammation is an immune response that gives 4 signs to us that our body is infected by the pathogen. Okay, so there are 4 signs of inflammation, which is redness, heat, panas kawasan yang terkena tu, swollen, and the other one is accumulation of the lymphocyte. That is the 4 signs of inflammation. Okay, so these are the normal mechanism occur in our body. Okay, when there is a pathogen or invader enter our body, immediately this first line defense will work as hard as they can to reduce the concentration, the number of the pathogen in our body, so that they cannot enter further to our bloodstream. Okay, next, if let's say the first line defense cannot protect and they are weak enough to eliminate an extra or growing pathogen in the body, then second line defense will take over the work, okay, to protect us. So what they do is to phagocytosis, to surround the bacteria pathogen pathogen with the protective protein kill them, the natural killer also kill them, and inflammation and fever will occur also to work together to eliminate every single pathogen. So when there is an elimination of most 90% of the pathogen to our body, then everything will back to normal. So our body is protected. But we also have third line defense if, let's say, the pathogen cannot be eliminated or killed by these two group of immune response. Okay, so we will discuss later in the next slide. Okay, for the third line's defense mechanism or immune response, we have cell mediated and humoral immunity or response. Okay, but this third line defense is under adaptive immunity. What is the meaning adaptive immunity? So adaptive, from the name itself, they are adapted to a certain condition, to a certain situation. Adaptive. Under adaptive immunity, we have two types of adaptive immunity, which is artificial and natural adaptive immunity. So this third line defense will not be activated until they recognize the pathogen. Okay, that's why the name is adaptive. They need to recognize the pathogen first, then they will activate to kill the bacteria. So this is very important, or the final defense in our body, so that the pathogen, which is very harmful pathogen that have life threatened to us, will not take over the body and finally kill us. Okay, so if, let's say, all these three defense mechanism is broke, cannot protect us, then life might be threatened. Okay, we might be die or get certain disease.